guys, this is Luke and Todd from the Scoundrel's Cantina, and welcome to our first Walking Dead story. As you may know, we are fans of many franchises, such as Marvel, DC, Lord of the Rings, Pirates of the Caribbean, and so on, one of which is The Walking Dead. From time to time, we'll be doing character stories from some of our other favorite franchises, but we mostly do Star Wars because it's our main theme, and we can't do stories from all of them because there simply is not enough time for all of it, although we would love to. This video will be about the big baddie called Mr. Negan, who is considered one of the most iconic comic book villains and also known as the Batman. Get it? Anyway, we'll be going over Negan's personality from the comics to know what we can expect from him in the TV show, and also his past before the outbreak of the zombie virus, and a part of his story as the leader of the Saviors. So, let's begin.
You are so gonna regret crossing me in a few minutes.
Negan is a casual, jolly, savage man who adores violence and mayhem. He is very intelligent and logical, possessing a knack for controlling and manipulating others. He has a strong affinity for profane language and offensive comments and a morbid, perverse sense of humor. His charismatic persona and demeanoring presence allows him to easily intimidate friends and foes alike. In spite of his violent and savage nature, Negan can be very reasonable for the sake of practicality. Negan does possess a sense of sympathy underneath his cold exterior, and even a sense of honor that leads him to be repulsed by certain acts against the weak, such as rape. He believes that his horrific methods of keeping his people in line, which involve burning the faces of rule breakers and using fear to keep people subjected, are to justify a greater good, and he does stick by his own code of ethics. He adamantly believes in a philosophy that the strong are to protect the defenseless. For example, he murders a savior after he tries to rape Holly, claiming that if his men are to commit rape, then their goal of rebuilding civilization can never be achieved. Despite his odd sense of sympathy, he admits he has trouble feeling emotions properly due to losing someone close to him in the past. Very little is known regarding Negan's early life, other than he presumably grew up as a sports enthusiast and lived in Virginia. Negan was married to his wife Lucille, where they presumably lived together as an average married couple. And yes, he later names his barbed-wired baseball bat Lucille. In adulthood, he became a high school gym coach where he practiced a range of sports including billiards and ping pong. He also worked as a used car salesman, presumably as a part-time occupation. Negan constantly strived to gain the admiration of his fellow peers, where he occasionally invited several of his fellow students to play ping pong against him inside his own garage. However, he frequently humiliated his pupils through the use of expressive and aggressive language, which resulted in him receiving several complaints from the students' parents. Negan's wife confronted him about this, and in the middle of their fight, she suddenly collapsed. After getting her to the hospital, Negan found out that his wife had cancer, and apparently the prognosis was not good. Negan also had an affair with another woman, of which his wife knew about. As soon as Negan's mistress heard of his wife's cancer, she ended the affair. Negan and his wife had a very complicated relationship, but in some weird way, they were deeply connected. As her condition worsened, Negan saw how much he truly loved her, even after all the things he has done. As Negan watched his wife die in the hospital, the zombie outbreak erupted and he saw her get turned, although it is unknown whether he put her down or not. As the world changes and the zombie apocalypse starts, Negan goes on his way to protect people and create a group, but not in the way of being a leader or dictator as he is with the Saviors, but just to simply help people as much as he can. But the problem was that no one listened to him and they all ended up dead sooner or later. And that is the beginning of the Negan we know. Sometime after, the world simply changed him and he established the Saviors, and fiercely ruled over his men. The Saviors were one of the largest organized survivor groups in the apocalyptic world. They would demand half the supplies of all the surviving groups that they would meet, and in return, they would defend the surviving groups from the undead. If the Saviors did not get what they wanted, they gave out deadly messages or severe beatings. At some point, when Rick's group attacked the Saviors and killed many of Negan's men, Negan along 50 other Saviors snuck up on Rick's group and subdued Rick by surprise. They lined up all the survivors from the van, telling them that they wanted revenge for the Saviors that were killed. Without an agreement from Rick, Negan made a deal.
Give me your shit, or I will kill you.
Everything that belonged to the Alexandria safe zone now belonged to the Saviors. He introduced his weapon of choice, Lucille, a baseball bat covered in barbed wire. After a long talk about the New World Order and whom he should beat to death using Lucille, he finally chose his victim at random, and it was Glenn. Maggie panicked as Glenn attempted talking Negan out of it. Negan ignored him and smashed Glenn's skull in by slamming Lucille down hard on Glenn's head. Negan laughed, and when Glenn attempted to get to his feet, the former remarked, "Taking it like a champ," before swinging Lucille at Glenn, dislocating his jaw and beating Glenn to death. Negan told the group that the Saviors would be back in 1 week to collect half of everything they have, or there would be more killings. Rick vowed that he would avenge Glenn and kill Negan. Negan laughed at this, beating Rick with his bare hands in response before leaving with his Saviors.
The Walking Dead comics and TV show have a lot of similarities, but also a lot of differences because in the TV show, Abraham Ford was the one who was killed by Lucille, and to make things even worse, Glenn bit the dust right after anyway. We are very excited to see the future of Negan's story in the Walking Dead TV series. Anyway guys, this is it on the video, and I hope you all enjoyed it and learned something new about this amazing character. And if you want to support this channel, make sure to subscribe for even more videos like this one. And remember guys, God is awesome, may the force be with you always, and I'll see you in the next video. You mother dick.
This party's over.